All right, today the movement we are looking at is the deadlift. This is a great exercise, especially if you don't have much equipment, to work the hamstrings, the glutes, and perhaps the low back, depending on how you are doing this movement. Now, also, it is one that can cause quite a bit of back pain for people if it is not done appropriately. I'm a big fan of focusing on the hamstrings and the glutes with this particular movement. Sometimes, depending on the day or whatever it may be, we can focus on the back. But in this particular video, we are going to be focusing on the back of the leg, the hamstrings, and the glutes. So with this movement, I don't know why it's called a deadlift, but we are having a nice normal stance here, feet under knees, under hips. You don't want to be too narrow, you don't want to be too far apart. Those are variations of the deadlift you could do, but again, for this explanation, we are starting here. Now, with this movement, it's not really a squat, more of a hinge at the hips. Now, the level at which you bend your knee will vary depending on the type of deadlift. I'm a fan of keeping a soft knee. And what you're doing is you're keeping your weight in your heels. You should be able to wiggle your toes. I don't know if you can see my toes. But keeping the core nice and tight. Back should be nice and flat. We don't want to be arched. We don't want to be hunched over. We want to stick the hips out. And just here, you should start to feel a stretch in your hamstrings, right? Now, some people may have weight here or, again, no weight at all. You can feel this stretch, right? And now pushing through your heels and squeezing your glutes, you're going to stand back up, right? So that is the movement of the deadlift. Nice and controlled. Breathe. And if you were to have weight, you would just kind of slide it down your legs. Or, I do have, you could use this as a band, or a lot of people do this with a barbell. I just kind of tied mine together, and that has some resistance. Hinging forward, weight in the heels, core is engaged. You go until you feel that stretch, right? And then push to the heels to stand back up. You're squeezing your glutes at the top of this movement, okay? Now, you don't want to push through your toes, because that takes the shift off of the hamstrings, right? And the glutes. It shifts all of your weight forward to your quads. You don't want that. Core nice and tight. Stick the hips out. Feel that stretch. Stand back up. So that is essentially the movement, most basically, of the deadlift. To modify this movement, some people may, again, have issues with proper form, have some back things going on, whatever it may be. So a good variation, if you have a wall, get your feet out a little bit farther in front of you. Your hips, your glutes stay on the wall. Same thing, you're reaching for your toes, and then you're standing back up. Because a lot of people in this movement, for whatever reason, they try to bend their knees, which again is a variation, but not what we're trying to do. We're trying to get that stretch. And the more we bend our knees, the more we're kind of contracting the hamstring, not elongating it. So, but we don't want to lock out the knees either. Okay? Again, like I said, soft knee. Same thing here, soft knee, reach forward, feel that stretch, stand back up, okay? Now this can be a good one to do, or a variation of it, if you struggle with balance, okay? We have the single-legged deadlift or cross-body reach. Sometimes we just have a forward reach, depending on your program. So if you were to have something in front of you, what you can do is same leg, same arm are up, right? And what you're going to do is hinge with this hip, the leg that is grounded. Reach forward, soft knee. So it should be the same movement as if I had both, right? One leg's up, or you can just keep this foot, this toe on the ground for balance. Tap, pushing through this heel, stand back up, squeeze the glute. Okay. Now that, again, a lot of focus on balance. You don't even have to reach forward if you were to have weight. same kind of thing. I don't like to be wobbling all over the place, but it is very good for balance. But I prefer to keep a toe on the ground, so this leg is doing all of the work. Either reaching forward or reaching down. Feel that stretch. Back is flat, core is tight. Stand back up, squeezing the glute and hamstring. Okay? So that would be a modification of the movement. A progression would be adding weight, right? And that, kind of depends on what equipment you have available to you. But again, the main focus would be keeping the core nice and tight and back flat. The more weight you get, the more you're at risk of perhaps doing the movement incorrectly. So I would progress up slowly. You can change it up with different tempos. Some people go down quick, up slow, or down slow, up quick. That would be a variation. Or I've even seen a 1.5 movement. So down, half, down, up. So that almost is like, well, it's only 1.5 because you don't come all the way up. And then some people, if you want to keep tension on the hamstrings, not allowing them to rest in this upright position, what you can do is deadlift, but only come part of the way up. Deadlift, come only part of the way up. Okay? So those are a couple different variations of the deadlift. If your back starts to hurt during the movement, make sure that your core is engaged. And if it is engaged, go lower with the weight. If that is not helping, you can stop the movement. Don't keep doing the movement if your back is hurting. I don't put this movement into very many people's routines unless they have been exercising for quite a while, unless it is the balance, the single leg movement. But it is a great one to learn and a great one to make sure that you're doing appropriately.